Welcome to Grand Sumo
Shut up,
Breakdown.
Ryan. It's time to talk about amateur sumo.
This is Flerick. Sumo podcasts for official sumo
Ryan,
fans.
No, we're doing amateur sumo update at the beginning because I am too pumped. I can't keep my amateur sumo stuff under wraps while we do our normal housekeeping.
Spoilers through day 8.
Because the U.S. won 2 more international medals at Worlds this year.
Woo,
happened since we recorded our preview. That's right. Kellyanne Ball went from bronze at heavyweight last year to silver this year.
Nice.
And our women's team got another bronze medal.
Awesome.
So,
Good
2
job,
years
ladies.
in a row for the first, before 2023. I don't think we'd earned any medals on the international stage since I think 2017. And we got 1 medal. And now our women have earned 4 medals in the last 2 years. So insane, awesome, crazy progress. I'm sure we will have some more podcasts coming up on that. But since this is the first time we recorded since that happened, I decided that it was more important than Ryan introducing the show.
I mean,
It's fair.
I'll allow it.
Now that we're done with that, you guys take it away. I will. I'll be here when you're done, and I can edit this into whatever and post it. So,
Sounds perfect.
Talk
Bye,
about Lesser
Derek
Sumo
Ryan.
whenever you're ready.
Flerick Ryan 2 episode is perfect for me. So I'm all about it.
Let's go.
All right, so yes, this is our midway episode for the Aki Basho. As I mumbled before, spoilers through day 8. So if you have not watched through day 8,
There was
at
more
this
important
point,
stuff going on. All right.
pause and then come back to us. Welcome back. All right, before we get to the action, we've had a fair amount of Patreon signups since our preview episode. We have 5 new patrons. Jake, why don't you kick it off with our first one?
First off, we have Adam Lemke. Thank you so much for joining our Patreon. By contributing to GSB, you are contributing to coverage of amateur sumo, all sorts of podcast stuff. And on some level, that probably contributes a little bit to those world medals, probably on some level. So thank you,
claim
Adam
it.
Lemke, for helping us win world medals in amateur sumo.
Couldn't have done it without him.
Absolutely. That was the difference.
All
Who we got
right.
next?
For a metal dream, you are the person I dream of when I yearn for wandering Scandinavian forests for metal bands.
Can't
Just
claim to
grow on
understand what the hell you're talking about, but I assume there's something in there.
Metal bands just grow on trees out in Scandinavia, don't they?
Exactly, and they always record their music videos in very snowy forests of them just wandering around. At least of the 2 videos I've seen in my life.
Ryan, you've got amateur sumo and Scandinavian metal to study up on.
Apparently, yeah.
Mhm.
I'll just
if you
handle all of the grand sumo.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing we podcast about.
If you're not caught up on world medals and Scandinavian metal videos,
Please
go
pause
and
now.
Pause
Yep.
now. Welcome back.
Both kinds of metal with a D and a T. Both spellings.
All right. To Paura. Not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced, but it's PA and then Ura. So
Which has been confirmed to be related
yes,
to a lesser known sumo wrestler.
named Ura.
That's the one.
So
cut.
to Paura, they are clearly a person of style and class with the best of tastes in sumo wrestlers. Just today in our Discord, they proclaimed their hatred for not only Oho, but also Gonoyama, instantly making them an S-tier patron.
Damn it.
Unprompted by me.
I'm sure it was. Also, thank you to Bongo from the Factory. A lot of people talk about handmade bongos, small scale operations. No, you cannot beat the precision of factory made bongos. So thank you for joining us, Bongo from the Factory.
Nice. For DJ Trepo, with a DJ name like that, you can join my old people frisbee team any day, where we all have weird DJ names, and then we go play frisbee with them on the back of our jerseys. Yeah,
Much funnier with the explanation required. Yes,
everybody's homework. Amateur sumo, Scandinavian metal, and Flerick's old person ultimate frisbee team.
A lot of homework on this episode.
A lot of homework. And to all of our continuing patrons, but especially to Jill Bean. Since joining the GSB Patreon, Jill has proven that she is very much like her namesake. Miss Bean has proven to reduce our blood pressure, support our immune system and lowered our risk of type 2 diabetes. Thank you, Jill.
Eat your beans, people.
Let's talk about Grand Sumo. We've got a fun Yusho race, or what could turn out to be not a very fun Yusho race. All depends on what Onosato, our leader, is doing. He is currently alone at 8-0. The Sekiwake that is looking to make it to the rank of Ozeki and possibly not higher than the rank of Ozeki, but also take home a Yusho or Jun Yusho this basho. He is looking fantastic. And Fleric, after 1 week with THRU no Fuji out, he is alone and undefeated. He has proven his phenom status over and over again. With excluding THRU no Fuji, Fleric, is Onosato the best Rikishi in sumo already?
I think that's going to come down to the age-old debate of like what's the best. It means that you're the hot right now or the consistency. But I'm going with the definition of being hot right now. Like, I think of all the people I've seen in this tournament so far, he's definitely the best. He's looking so good. He is huge. I don't know if you've seen how big this guy is.
Pretty big.
Fantastic.
Guy. Yeah,
Can confirm.
large man.
Yeah, he is a big guy, and he's kind of shoring up his weaknesses a little bit. Like, I haven't really seen him get thrown at all. I feel like that was the big thing we noticed before. Maybe that would change once he gets up to some of the Ozeki people, but so far he's looking fantastic.
Yeah, we're certainly going to talk about those Ozeki, the hard matchups that he might potentially have coming up. But the only thing that I've noticed a little bit this basho is he's had a couple like cautious tachi-eyes. He's a little bit slower, standing up a little bit higher. I'm uncertain if I want to call that like something that needs to improve or something that he's doing on purpose to be a little bit more reactive. Because yeah, there's some squirrely guys that he's managed to beat by being patient. And I think that might be part of it, where he's taking it a little bit easier on the tachi-eye to make sure that he gets a handle on it and make sure that he's able to respond to whatever anybody throws at him.
Yeah. I will go as far as to say that's a good thing, because I usually see able to have a dynamic range where you can have like explosive tachi-eyes in a more reserved one. I think that's a sign of mature sumo, because like some people, like if like you have to switch it up. In some matchups, you definitely want like more reserved and be on more of a defensive back foot, because you have like, yeah, exactly. Because you have the size matchup, and you just have to, as long as you can figure out the trickery, you're going to win the match.
And
so
I will say, in that day 2 matchup, THRU did come with the attempted Ashitori leg pick, and Onosato was immediately able to shut that down and easily push him out of the dohyo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say besides a shaky win against the Tommy Fuji on day 1, Onosato has kind of looked like he did when he debuted in January at the bottom of the Maegashira ranks, where he's just bowling everybody straight out of the dohyo, and there's really not a whole lot of back and forth. It's just Onosato's running into you, and you're going out the back of the dohyo, and that's been proven since his Hataki Komi win on day 1. It's all been Yorikiri or Oshidashi, with the exclusion of a Tsukidashi against THRU on day 2, which is basically the same thing as Oshidashi, just your arm is extended a little further out. So yeah, he's been very dominant, and he's been doing it against the best of the best in sumo. So this is, I think, just another step up that we have seen from Onosato here. He corrected some of the mistakes that he had from last basho, where he lost to like Mitaki Yumi on day 1. He lost to Hira de Umi early in that one as well. This one, Hira de Umi had zero chance in that matchup. I have Onosato as my champ, so I'm cheering for him pretty hard this basho, and I was very worried coming into that Hira de Umi matchup, and he proved that there was zero reason to worry about him there. He's got it on lock.
Yeah, Hira de Umi along with THRU were two of the ones where I was like, yeah, okay, he's being obviously he's physically dominant, but he's also being patient. Guys that can be quick or tricky, he's still making sure to control and be methodical about it. And I think that's a big improvement, because there's so much positive to say about what he's been doing. I think it's some of the teeny tiny negatives are popping out to me a little bit too. And in particular, Mitaki Yumi has looked awful this entire tournament. And yet Onosato took a few seconds longer to beat him than I expected. Like that was,
oh no, it took 6
I know,
instead
but
of
it's
2.
like, It's the
Yeah.
closest thing I can think of to like any bumps in the road so far was Mitakeumi should have been a gimme for him.
Mhm.
But yeah, this time around it took a lot more effort, and I don't know. That was kind of a confusing one because yeah, so far he has just been a wrecking ball through everybody else.
I have a theory on the Mitakeumi matchup.
Yeah, what's that?
Mitakeumi's pretty big.
Yeah.
Big guy. Yep.
Big guy. That's all. Yeah. That's the best I got though. Yeah. It's interesting kind of to see the that you're starting to kind of notice some negatives about it because there's a lot to like. It's
not
really,
really.
really-
I'm really reaching for it.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think it's fair to bring it up, but like, yeah, he's not looking like Hakuho unbeatable. He's just looking really, really close to that. You know,
Yeah.
I think that there's just a tiny bump in the road every now and then where it's like, okay, he's super good, but he's at least a human being still. He might get better, but he's still a human being right now.
Yeah. It's the consistency thing. I'm still kind of waiting to see that kind of puts me apart from the Hakuho kind of conversation with that.
I mean, Fleric, since he's come into the top division, 11, 11, 12, 9, and now an 8-0 start. I
Yeah.
mean,
well, but yeah, obviously when we're comparing against Hakuho though, it's like that,
we should not be comparing
I know we
anybody to Hakuho ever.
I
Stop
agree.
it.
I'm responding to the comparison that Jake made.
Right.
So.
And that's to make it more interesting than saying, yes, he's looking really good. I don't see any flaws. That's, just trying to make it a little bit more interesting by like, a year from now, 5 years from now, do we compare him to Hakuho? Like where do we compare him as he continues to get better?
Yeah, I think he's definitely on the upward trajectory. He's going to be probably in the discussion of like how he compares with some other greats. But as we all know, this is very, very early.
Yeah.
And like that consistency, I would love to see. But seeing it in this basho, I'm loving it right now.
Yeah, I was talking. My wife and I had a date night last night, and she was like, "Quiz me on sumo," because she doesn't really pay attention, so she just kind of wanted to see like what she had learned through osmosis through me, and that got me just talking about like, I think we finally have like our next generational 20 Yusho Rikishi. Like, it is still far too early to really proclaim that, but especially if he picks up his second Yusho this basho, which it's looking like. I mean, he's the favorite. He's the front runner. After 8 days, he's undefeated. That would be his second Yusho in just his first 9 tournaments, which is 2 Yusho before anybody else in history had won 1. And that other Rikishi that did it in 10 is Takeru Fuji, who is absolutely lighting up Juryo. He's undefeated in Juryo. He looks like the same guy he was before he got hurt.
Looks like the ankle's back to normal, yeah.
So yeah, it's way too early really to say if Onosato can be that next 20-win Rikishi, like Asashoryu, Hakuho, Kita no Umi, Taka no Hana, Taiho, Chiyo.
Right. Like the top tier.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you got there. Good job.
I was afraid. I was about to say Chiyo Shoma.
But yeah, like there are guys where you refer to like a decade as the Asashoryu era, and like, yeah, potentially the 2020s could end up being the Onosato era.
He could be the really guy cool. We've been waiting for since we started this podcast 7 years ago.
The guy that we follow from the beginning to becoming the absolute best. That would be, yeah, that's fair. I think Hoshoryu is like the first guy that we actively knew who he was when he made his debut and still follow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, obviously he's not that guy yet. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. We'll get to him later.
But yeah, there's a lot to like about the guy. But like the matchups coming up, like I said, I feel like he's a little bit he can get thrown. I've definitely seen that happen a couple times, and he was a better thrower than Hoshoryu. So I feel like that is one of the big matchups. Like it's gonna be a big test. Kotozakura, he always brings it pretty good. He's a big guy. He's not gonna be pushed down in 2 seconds. It's probably gonna be 4 seconds at least for that guy.
No, I'm not calling for a Zensho or anything this basho, but in my mind, he is still absolutely the favorite to win it.
Yeah, Hoshoryu has beaten him 3 times by Shitate Nage.
Yeah.
And Onosato has gotten 1 win by Fusen. So that does not count.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing on Onosato before we move on, because we spent a lot of time on Onosato here. I feel like he does a phenomenal job of moving forward, pushing guys out of the dohyo, and then not allowing them any side movement to do any funny like pull down, spin away, and slap him down. He knows how to get them completely locked down and pushed out without giving them any room to give reverse or anything like that. And he's also been doing a great job keeping people off of his belt as well. So we'll see if he can keep that going. He's got some tough matchups coming up. Kotozakura, Hoshoryu, Kirishima. Everybody else is either going to be Maegashira or Abi, who's 2-6 this basho. So
yeah, I mean, until we see better, I will expect Onosato to have at least one surprise loss somewhere.
Yeah,
that's just kind of how it goes. But then, those three guys seem to be the other hottest guys so far, and somebody's probably going to get him.
Yep.
Yeah. The last thing on him, he's on the Ozeki run, right?
If he gets 12 this basho, it was stated by the JSA he will be promoted to Ozeki. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So if he does get to that 12, he only needs to go 4-3 in the second week in order to do that. So he could lose to Hoshoryu, Kotozakura, and Kirishima. All of them beat everybody else. He's still probably going to make it to Ozeki. And if he does that, he would set the record for fastest rise to Ozeki from pro debut in sumo history. If he gets to that 12, he would get to Ozeki after completing just nine basho in his pro career.
That is third of his career is his Ozeki run.
Yeah, that's 3 basho faster than Yu Takayama in the 60s and Miyabiyama in the late 90s. And he could also break Taiho's record for the fastest rise to Ozeki from your top division debut by making it to Ozeki after his 5th top division debut or 5th top division basho, breaking Taiho's record of 6 basho. So he's looking to break even more records if he can finish off the second week, much like he did the first week. He is setting all the records you could want somebody to set to prove that they are the next generational guy.
Yeah. Takeru Fuji was only there to throw a wrench in Onosato's path to glory. Right?
If Takeru Fuji can stay healthy and look as good as he has down in Juryo and bring that to the top division, my dream, 2 years out, is Onosato, Takeru Fuji, huge rivalry, like them.
Haku Oho, maybe.
Throw Haku Oho in there, but yeah, I just want us to have. I just want
looking for the mute button.
I just want us to have at least two dominant Yokozuna battling out basho after basho after basho with the Yusho on the line.
Yeah,
that we've seen the chaos of the last 7 years. We've seen a dominant single Yokozuna with Teruno Fuji when he's around. I want us to be in an era of 2 dominant Yokozuna battling it out. I think that would be fun for a couple of years, and then we might get tired of it. But having never seen it, I don't know.
Yeah,
let's get them young too, in mid-20s. And they have just number years in their prime to just battle away against each other. I can't wait.
When we started, there was also Kakuryu and Haruma Fuji, but Hakuho was still clearly the best of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the most recent times that there was true multi-Yokozuna full-on rivalry where you weren't really sure who was the best. I guess Asashoryu and Hakuho, roughly 2010-ish, were both still going.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to go back 10 years before that when you had Takanohana, Wakanohana, Akebona, Musashi Maru, all these guys in the late 90s at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I would love to see it where I guess what I'm saying is the age of pure chaos. I storyline wise, I'd love to see us come out the other side of it with some solid tiers of top wrestlers.
Yeah. All right, let's move on from the Onosato talk because there is one Rikishi that is 1 win behind him, sitting at 7-1, and that is former Ozeki Kirishima. So Jake, is Kirishima back?
Sure is for the moment. I have no idea how to trust if it's going to stay this way, but he's absolutely in the form that he was a year ago.
Where he won 2 Yusho.
Yeah, exactly. I was just pulling it up to make sure I was being accurate, but yeah, he won a Yusho in March and November of 2023. That first one on his way to being an Ozeki. That second one was the last time we talked about anyone becoming Yokozuna, and our hopes were I wouldn't say dashed because he followed up with an 11-4, which was okay.
He started 11-2 and had a U-show chance going into the final 2 days. So
right.
He was right on the cusp.
But March of this year, when he hit his 5-10 at Ozeki, then he went 1-5 and pulled out. Then he went 8-7 and like barely hung on to Sekiwake. And now we're here at 7-1. I don't know. I have it. I'm trying to make this a more interesting opinion than just, I guess he's healthy now, like, because like health is just such a wild card whenever we're talking about sumo.
I was going to add to the conversation is
I don't know, man. Like
the only difference between this basho and last basho is Kirishima said, "Hey, my neck is good," and
I guess I don't hurt as much. Like
his Oyakata. Otowayama Oyakata, the former Kakuryu, had said, like, yeah, he's looking good in practice. He's looking like the Yusho. He's looking like he's in Yusho winning form. So, I mean, Otowayama Oyakata had been he's been truthful with his expectations from like the comments that I've seen about Kirishima. He hasn't been blowing smoke up his ass and saying like basho goes like, oh, no, he looks like he's ready to win a Yusho. He hasn't been doing that. But before this basho, he's like, he's looking like he was when he was winning Yusho. So we've got to assume that neck is healthy, and maybe that was all the difference. I mean, a neck can cause a lot of severe problems, as we are seeing with saw with Takakeisho. I don't know how much seeing of Takakeisho we're going to be doing anymore.
We'll get to that one.
But yeah, unfortunately, it might have been just like a badly timed neck injury that lingered for a little too long for Kirishima. And if it's all better now, maybe he can get back into Ozeki form.
Yeah, it's hard work. The one thing I will say about him is like I was surprised that he's 7-1 after when you mentioned it, because I think he's had some close matches, a couple close calls at the THRU, and some matchups. So I guess I would say like I think he's definitely closer to what his Ozeki form when he was winning Yushos were, but I think he's not looking extremely dominant, I guess is what I want to say. So
yeah.
I feel
less so
like
than Onosato for sure.
Oh yeah, less so than Onosato, but I do maybe besides a couple of spare matches, I do feel like he has been looking like that Kirishima that went 13-2 back in November. So I'll disagree with you a little bit there, Fleric. I do think like as dominant as Kirishima can look, that's how he's pretty much been looking this basho. He's looked like the Kirishima from last year that we were all like, I think 3 out of 4 of us predicted him to be Ozeki at the end of this year. From the beginning of this year. So I do feel like he's kind of found that form again. I'm very interested to see his matchups against Kotozakura, Hoshoryu, Onosato, see how he looks there. Can he pick up a couple of wins there, push it to 12, 13 wins this basho? I think if he could finish with 12 to 13, I'll feel pretty good about, his chances of making it back to Ozeki sometime the beginning of 2025. But unfortunately, with sumo and most any other sport, it's all depending on his health, and hopefully he can keep that neck in good shape and it doesn't kind of relapse on him.
Yeah. The neck, I think, I don't know. To me, that's got to be it. It's got to, right? Because like he's the other thing I've noticed
forget how to do sumo and then remember after 8 months. Exactly,
and it's clearly not like I don't know, somebody like Mitakiyumi where he's just kind of declining. That we're not really getting that out of Kirishima. To me, it seems like he's got a bit of that killer instinct back. He's like actually like he's got some fire to him that has been missing. And I imagine that if you have a bad neck injury, that's one of the things that you can't just plow in head first every time. And holding back on that could substantially affect your sumo. And maybe that's all it is. Maybe if it was a neck injury that's better, that would potentially explain everything that we've seen different from him, because we know pure technique wise, he's absolutely top 5, if not like top 3.
So right now, Kirishima is 1 win back of Onosato, and he's the only person that's 1 win back of Onosato. So by the numbers, he would be the second favorite to win the Yusho. Is that how you guys feel in actuality? Do you feel like he is the second favorite to win the Yusho at this point?
Not really, I guess. I would still put Kotozakura ahead of him. If the judges did their job, Kotozakura would not be this close. Well, do we talk about
we'll
that
talk
now?
About that in a second.
Okay, yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second.
I don't know. I'd still put Kotozakura ahead of him, because even if Kotozakura isn't looking his best he's ever looked, he's still more consistent. And for Kirishima, to me, it does seem like his record is a little bit better than his quality, if that makes sense. I guess just based on the quality of his sumo, I would not expect him to only have one loss, but he, like we've been saying, I think he's looking a lot better than he was. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't have a ton of faith in him. I think he's going to have to earn that back from me after struggling for so long.
I think I agree with you, Jake, on that. I think I need to see that consistency between the top guys to really say he's the second favorite.
I think I'll go ahead and dissent with you two. I do think Kirishima, I mean, like you just talked about, Jake, with Kotozakura could easily be sitting at 5-3 at this point instead of 6-2.
Should be.
Kirishima, I don't feel like he's earned his 7-1 record. He's looked really good to me. I'm kind of fully back and trusting him. I think if Onosato doesn't take it, I could easily envision Kirishima winning his third Yusho this basho. So I feel like I'm back on board with Kirishima. I'm ready to get hurt again. And so let's hope that doesn't happen.
All right.
So let's move on to our group of 7 Rikishi that are sitting at 6-2, 2 wins back of Onosato. As we saw last basho, being 2 wins back does not mean that you cannot win the Yusho at this point, as Takanosho was 2, maybe even 3 wins back at this point.
I don't think we considered him a serious contender until like day 14 or something.
Yeah. And stuff can happen with the leaders in the final week. So these guys are very much within Yusho winning range. And we have Ozeki Kotozakura. I feel like he started off very strong. He's dropped a couple of matches here in the past few days, but one match that he did win, day 3 against THRU, where he was thrown out of the dohyo by THRU. Seemed like THRU kept his foot inside the ring, but the Gyoji, is this his final basho? I can't remember if he's retiring. Yeah. So what is his name? Is he
Kimura Shinosuke? Yeah, Kimura Shinosuke.
Okay. Yeah. Kimura Shinosuke.
The top-rated Gyoji.
The Tate Gyoji, yeah. He called it for Kotozakura. I think everybody in the arena was waiting for a Shimpan to raise their hand and call a mono E, but it never came. You look at replays, like, well, THRU got his foot in, Kotozakura's landed on the ground. I think the only thing people can talk about is top of THRU's foot had turned over at that point and was touching the Tawara or the clay. And so technically, if you want to get real finicky on it, you could say that THRU did lose that match fair and square. But I think the main point is nobody, and especially not a group of elderly Japanese men, all could have seen that the top of THRU's foot had flipped over just moments before Kotozakura hit the ground.
Your cat is going nuts on you. I'm loving this as you try to stay on task as he's just walking back and forth.
He's in his hidey hole now, so we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe THRU should have lost the match, but there's no way a Mono E should not have been called in that match.
That's kind of my thoughts too, is I don't fault the Gyoji for making that call because he only has
seemed very obvious in real time to me that it should have been THRU.
Well, yeah, but you just said his foot dragged. Maybe he was only looking, I don't know, maybe one guy saw that and then missed the timing of the landing. I don't know. But I guess I'm just saying I don't think it's a complete failure of the Gyoji. Fair enough, that's debatable. But I absolutely think the Shinpan screwed it up by not at least talking about it.
Yeah.
Because that's wild. There were, I think it was kind of like the camera side on the left, right? So it was the side where there's 2 guys. Mm-hmm. If it's one of the upper corners, there's like a third guy that might have a good angle as well. But regardless, the guy on camera side and the guy to our left, both had a great view of what happened, and neither one decided to even raise their hand.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. I think they did a worse job than the Gyoji.
I've seen two conspiracy theories floating around to explain this, which
Is
we
one
all
of
know
them the
how
stupid thing that Kotozakura's dad is involved or something like that?
that was one of them.
Yeah, always
And
is.
that's regardless of the fact that Sato Gatake isn't the head of the Shimpan committee anymore, and he was not at ringside. So
yeah. So not sure what he could have done.
yeah. So, but there's still the thinking out there that Kotozakura is getting blatant favoritism to be where he's at. I guess I don't know. That's the one I'm disregarding. The other one that I will throw out maybe could be is protecting Kimura Shonosuke in his final basho and not wanting to call any mono-ease or overturn his calls. I could possibly see that. I don't know, and I'm not going to claim that that's happening. Nobody has any evidence of that, but I could believe it.
Yeah, saving face is like top priority in so many different ways that that I was very ready to just laugh off another conspiracy theory, but dang it, that's a little bit more plausible.
I don't believe that one. I think they can still call the Monoi and not overturn it. You know,
they could. I don't know.
I don't know. I think if you call the Mono E at that point, you might be forced to overturn it. Because, like, how could you look at those replays and not call? Unless, like I said, unless you want to say Tobizaru's top of his foot drag. But let's move on. Kotozakura.
Last thing I was just say is, like, I feel like if you're trying to save face, this is the worst way to go about it. Because
good point.
Yeah, there's
You're
so much more
Streisand affecting it. Yeah, but just like trying to bury it, it makes it look worse.
I mean, the guy's already had like 18, 19 calls reversed as the Tate Kyoji. What's a 20th?
yeah, fair.
It's not like it's going to be like his first or second ever in that position.
What about Kotozakura's actual wrestling, though? To me,
he's looked like the 11-4, 10-5 Kotozakura of the past few bashos, unfortunately. I was really hoping that he was going to take another step up, and maybe he goes undefeated in week 2. And he beats Onosato, and at 13-2, maybe that's good enough for a Yusho. But I feel like he's probably going to drop 1 or 2 more, finish with 10 or 11 wins, maybe get a Jun Yusho out of it. But that's kind of where Kotozakura is right now. I'm waiting for him to take that next step up, especially in the absence of THRU no Fuji. But unfortunately for Kotozakura, Onosato is taking that step up.
Sure.
Yeah. I think he unfortunately had those couple losses, so I think the Yusho is probably out unless we get some crazy shenanigans at the end, which could happen. Yep. But I do think he's going to be competitive with Rikishi at the end, so I think we can get some good matches. So I think his sumo has been looking okay. Just a couple missteps, unfortunately, is my take on it.
Yeah, to me, it seems like the one thing that's a little bit different from recently is he's still got that like very Kisuno Sato like big guy poise, calm, patient, methodical. But to me, it almost seems like he's too much that, and he's kind of he needs a little bit more fire under him. The way that
he
we were talking about Kirishima getting it back.
His first 3 or 4 matches, he came out with a lot more fire and like forward momentum out in his matches, and then I don't feel like he's been able to do that the past few days, where he's gone 2-2 over the past couple of days. So I feel like he started off with that, but
yeah, I don't know. To me, like his style seems to be more focused around being the platonic ideal of a sumo wrestler than it is around like winning as many matches as you can. I don't know. he's I mean, it's beautiful. He's strong. He's tough. He's hard to move and all that. But like, you got to have a little bit more fire on the offense too. And I'm not seeing that from him.
Should we make a declaration as YDC West that we like what we see from his sumo, but you just need a little bit more fire.
Yes, we need more fighting spirit. Let's write a letter after this basho, depending on how he finishes it.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right. And we have 6 other Rikishi, which is mostly a bunch of old timers over 30 that are also sitting at 6-2. And then there's Oshoma, and he's like surprisingly like 27, 28 years old. Maybe am I right about that? Hold on, I need to look up Oshoma.
Yeah, I remember him being like kind of feels like a newcomer just because he's new to the top division, but he's older. Yeah,
he's 27. But yeah, we've got Waka Takakage, We've got Endo, we've got Hokuto Fuji, Nishikigi, and Takayasu in addition to Oshoma. So, Jake, we're going to do Yusho, Kachikoshi, or Makikoshi. And your three are Wakataka Kage, Endo, Takayasu.
I hate to do it, but Takayasu, I feel like he's got to be my Makikoshi pick. He is not, what was it, day 3-ish, somewhere in there?
Day 3 and 4.
Where, yeah, he's very obviously hurt in some way. Like he, like just given up on matches, moving very gingerly. And also, even on day 1, he started out with a thrust-focused Tachi, as opposed to the classic Takayasu shoulder blast. So, yeah, something's clearly up. It was bothering him before the basho, so he mixed things up. It's bothering him worse after the first couple days. And yet nobody can beat him. So
yeah,
like, what? I don't know what's going on, but I don't trust it to last.
Back-to-back days on day 3 and 4 where he very clearly gave up and like kind of walked himself out of the dojo. I thought like, oh, he's cooked. He might be going down to Juryo. If Takayasu goes to Juryo, is he gonna stick around? But he,
and then boom,
to
boom,
his
boom,
credit,
boom, he's fine.
yeah, I mean, he's been fighting Shirokuma Bushos on Roga and Kakayaki. But to his credit, he's come out with more of the typical Takayasu style with a more belt-focused game. He hasn't been doing like the thrusts that he had started like those first 4 matches with. So he's looking more like regular Takayasu. So I'm wondering, does that hurt him more to do that style, but he could still kind of fight through the pain and get the wins? Or is he just getting better? His back better?
Yeah, maybe he like injured it the way that it like popped something back in. You know.
Yeah.
But no, regardless of these 3 that you gave me, I think he is my pick for a Makekoshi. Endo is my pick for a Kachikoshi. He's looking back to himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Looking pretty solid.
Ever since he went down to Juryo and came back, he's been looking a whole lot better.
Yep. He's another guy that is kind of like reaching for that platonic ideal of sumo. You know, he's meat and potatoes. He's good flexibility, balance, all that stuff. All those things that were, you know, that stand out about Endo being like a quintessential, excellent visual and technical sumo wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Which best at possible Endo is, I don't know, 11 wins or so. Yeah. And, you know, upper Maegashira. We'll see. But of these 3, Wakataka Kage is definitely my pick for Yusho if I have to pick one. He is looking pretty solid. He is looking more, maybe it's just been that I haven't seen him in so long and I'm still getting used to seeing him again. But like, to me, he seems less powerful and more tricky than I remember. Do you guys kind of get that vibe from him? He's using a lot of slickness and speed, which was always part of his game.
I think he's more patient to kind of find his, because he wants to grab the inside of your belt, put his head down into your chest, and push you forward and out.
I think most guys want to do that.
Well, but Wakataka,
I get your point though.
Yeah. But I feel like he's a bit more patient to try to find that ideal grip for himself instead of just like diving in. I hope I get it, and if I do, I might win. I feel like he's been just a little bit more patient, trying to make sure that he gets that.
Sure. Regardless, though, of these 3, I think he's the most poised to go big places, and he was a Sekiwake before. If he's truly healthy, he absolutely has the talent to get back there.
All right, Flarek, and you've got the other group of 3. Which of these 3 will Yusho? Which will Kachikoshi? Which will Makekoshi? Those are Oshoma, Hokuto Fuji, and Nishikigi.
This is a tough group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is going to be the Takanosho of the last basho?
Takanosho of the last basho. I think of these 3, I guess I'll start from the bottom. Just this is probably no fault on him. It's just but I just have not been too memorable. He hasn't been in too many memorable matches. But the new person Oshoma, of where it's just his sumo has not yet clicked for me, so I can't actually think of some too crazily huge moments.
He is currently on a 4-match winning streak of exclusively Hataki Komis.
Yeah, it's been kind of sloppy. Yeah.
All right, so that kind of cements the point too. I think I thought he was like probably quietly kind of doing pretty well. And it sounds like the reason why I haven't noted that is because of polling and Hataki Komis.
Yeah,
which is, you know, as we all know, not a sustainable style of sumo.
Right.
You can get you wins though. You can get you wins. It's good to
here and there. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put him as the Makikoshi, depending on the matchups he gets. I will go next for the Kachikoshi with Nishikigi. He's looking good again. Not back up to his cult status when he was doing very, very well. But I'll probably put, I think definitely at 6-2, he's definitely gonna get a Kachikoshi. Honestly, even Oshoma's probably gonna get a Kachikoshi.
Probably.
But if we had to choose one of those three, he'd be the one.
Yeah. And there's no way this is actually going to happen. But if I had to pick one who's going to Yusho, why not Hulk to Fuji? Why not Hulk to Fuji?
I think it was just last year in July where he went 12-3 and forced a playoff with Hoshoryu that he would eventually lose. So he's done it in the past.
It's true. You never know. In these last couple days, the Yusho race gets a little bonkers. So
yeah. Onosato drops a match here too. Maybe here comes Hokuto Fuji.
I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it.
Similar to injuries, it's so frustrating how like there's so many things that have a very small chance of happening, but there's so many of them that one or two of them will happen.
Yep.
Right. So like getting Hokuto Fuji, like that playoff that he did get to, or I think it's correct to guess all of these guys will not be in the Yusho race. But like if 10 guys each have a 10% chance, maybe one of them does get in there, like, yeah, I don't know. It's, the sumo prediction game always, it frustrates me how often it comes back down to one of these guys is going to get all the coin flips to go his way, or one of these guys is going to get hurt or something, Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't honestly view any of these guys as like truly in the race, because it feels like it's still three of the guys that we were looking at from the very beginning.
When you have three Sanyaku guys that are in the front runner, it kind of just feels like it should, and it probably will be one of those guys. Onosato's won a Yusho before. Kirishima's won 2 Yusho before. All these other guys that we're talking about, the only one that's won a Yusho is Wakataka Kage. So,
and he's the only one of this lower group that I would even pick to stay in it to a Jun Yusho. But I don't know. It's a very good basho, I think, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of guys that are doing particularly well, or at least notable that, I think this is a very fun basho for this reason.
Okay. I want to kind of speed through these next few guys just real quick. Hoshoryu, kind of a real, even head scratching start for Hoshoryu. Started off 2-4. He's picked up his last 2, but he's struggling along to a 4-4 record. Not really fully looking like the Hoshoryu. He's like getting thrown down too easily, and I don't know. He's not looking maybe all the way back from that hip injury. A little disappointing to see from Hoshoryu. I'm still expecting him to finish out with a Kachikoshi. I'm not really worried about that, but would have liked to have seen him competing for the Yusho.
He had a huge throw today. That was awesome.
That was a great throw against Wakamoto Haru. Yeah.
But
that was
good.
Go
ahead.
That was a good stare down in the beginning too.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to, since Kentami Yama is going to Japan for the second week, I had to find Nato's video and include the entire pre-match of them staring down at each other. It was some good hype, and the match met the hype too. It was
absolutely
great.
But yeah, that mobility seems to be hampered for Hoshoryu, and I think that's like you said, probably that old hip injury from last basho.
Yep. We got to talk about Oho. I mean, dude is
Let's go.
Turning a corner. It's way too early to say anything. It's been like 4 days of one tournament, but he seems like he's been turning a corner. Maybe making me look silly for declaring him
sure is
nothing sort of guy a while ago, but I'm gonna stick with my guns because I said he's not gonna be Ozeki. I don't see him as being Ozeki. He's still far away from Ozeki, but damn it if he ain't looking good this basho.
Yep.
I'm not blind. I could see it.
Yeah, I was looking at his record, and obviously the top story of him so far is beating Kotozakura and Hoshoryu on back-to-back days. That was the first time he'd ever beat Kotozakura, but weirdly enough, he has a 5-2 record against Hoshoryu.
Oh yeah, he's dominated Hoshoryu for whatever reason.
I didn't expect that. Yeah, but regardless, he lost to Kirishima, Onosato, Hiradomi. None of those are bad losses.
Nope.
But yeah, beating Takakeisho on day 2 is a freebie, but these last 4 days, Kotozakura, Hoshoryu, Abi, THRU. Yeah, he's doing okay. I think he's utilizing his size better than he has in the past, and he's being patient, and he's
a lot more
muscling
intensity
people.
A lot more, especially shown off in that match against Kotozakura. A lot more fire when put up at the edge of the THRU, like so much in the past. The reason why I was kind of writing him off is because, like, all right, I lost, I'll step over. He, especially in that match against Kotozakura, that was not there. He had a fire I'd never seen from him before, an intensity that basically reversed the script. And at the end of that long match that turned into a belt battle and battle for position, Oho got Kotozakura basically too tired, and Kotozakura stepped over the bales, unable to put up a fight anymore. So yeah, Oho definitely impressing so far this basho. Very curious to see if he can keep that going. For as much as I might dislike Oho because I've been forced to based on my takes on this podcast, I think it would be good if Taiho's grandson were able to turn a corner. And like, to Jake's credit, he is only 24 years old. I was making these statements about like a 22-year-old Rikishi, which is kind of why I've learned with Tommy Fuji. I'm like, dude, he's 21. Let's calm down.
Yeah. You're an honorable podcaster, though. You say that a guy is crap and you hate him for years for it.
Yeah, obviously.
No, of course. But yeah, I'm a little bit worried because he did look a little bit messed up after fighting Abi yesterday.
Oh, his eye is super swollen.
It was already starting to swell shut, like, while he was still on the dojo after that.
Yeah,
but then today he looked okay.
It looked like a headbutt right to the eye, and so I don't know if like stray hair like poked it real bad, but yeah, it was immediately puffed up after the basho. I don't know if there's like structural damage underneath, like to the orbital bone or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
I hope not.
It looked very much
not.
like
The
a
way
boxing injury, like you know, when you get hit there, like the stuff, but it's one of the spots on the head where there really isn't a lot going on between the skin and the bone. So yeah, it looked like right under his right eye, he was swelling up pretty bad from like you said, probably a big headbutt.
Yeah. And then we've got to talk about Taka Keisho, who was coming into this basho needing 10 wins to regain his Ozeki rank. And it was clear on day one that was not going to happen. Who did he fight on day one? It was Mitaka Yumi. It was his 27th matchup with Mitaka Yumi. And Mitaka Yumi basically handled him with kids' gloves. It was very clear Taka Keisho was not generating any power from the Tachi as much as he was trying. He couldn't do anything, and Mitaka Yumi was able to push him out. And it's the same story on day two against Oho, just zero power, no stamina, and it was just basically escorted out by Oho and like, please don't hurt yourself on your way out.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, let's get you across the street, old lady, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And then on day three, he announced that he was Kyujo. As of now, he's not on the Torikumi for day 9. So he will be 0-9 after day 9, and that's going to be good enough no matter what to drop him out of the Sanyaku ranks, which will be the first time Taka Keisho is outside of the Sanyaku ranks at September of 2018. And of course, the thing that pretty much the sumo world is waiting for is he going to announce his retirement from sumo at 28 years old?
Yeah. Nuts how long he has been in the conversation, despite being like on the front end of where a lot of guys hit their prime. You know, that's wild to me. But yeah, I don't know. Regardless, I would guess that we will have news after the basho. I think the classy move would probably be wait till it's done and then make your announcement in between. But yeah, sad either way.
Yeah, definitely sad seeing his final few matches look like that. I know his final matches in the last tournament as well weren't looking all too great. Let's see if this is the end of Taka Keisho. His last win was on day 11 of the last tournament against Gonoyama. Would have been his last win, if that is his last win, which I just have to assume that will be the case.
It's wild to think because he was on a belt run just last year.
Last year
into Kyushu.
Well, I think it's debatable how much of a belt run he was on after the 11-4 U show. But after the 12-3 U show in January, he definitely would have been. So is there anybody else that we haven't talked about yet in the top division that we want to mention?
I got a handful, but I can rip through them pretty quick.
Yeah.
Bushozan, Roga, Churanaumi, all at their career high rank. Good job. Doing okay.
Yeah,
They're all-
Churanaumi, especially for me, he's just continues to
because he's
surprise
my
me.
chump. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's helping everybody.
Hey, I learned. I
Um,
had Churanaumi as my chump in his debut, and he made me look bad there. So he's
Yep.
just continuing to impress, like coming in at 30 years old, his first time into the top division. And here he is, just
he's okay. Yeah.
quietly rising the ranks. Like he's 5-3 now. Project that out to like a 9-6 record from M7. He could be sitting at M5, M4 next Basho.
Yep. Top 25 in the world. Good for you.
Yeah.
Did not expect it.
Nope.
Let's see. Onokatsu, Shirokuma making their top division debut. Not so good.
Yeah.
Not terrible, but not good.
Yeah. How about that Shirokuma, Fleric?
How's that going?
Anime has lied to me. They told me that the power of friendship will beat everything and lead people to victory, but no, apparently that is not the case.
It doesn't always work out that way. Is that what we're learning?
Yeah, this is sad.
Let's see. Same kind of goes for Kitano Waka. Technically, this isn't his top division debut, but pretty
his
much
third
might as
time.
well be. Yeah, not going so great.
Yep.
Let's see. Who is the other one I wanted to bring up? Shonan Naomi. What's going on, buddy? It's nothing obvious, but just cannot pull it together.
Yep.
Same with Mitaki Yumi. Mitaki Yumi, though, it's pretty clear it's just mileage.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, and
It's all set up.
Shodai, I thought Ozeki Shodai was effing back. He started off 4-0
for a minute. Yeah.
He was looking good. I'm like, oh my god, this is like Yusho winning 2020 Shodai form, and then he's lost 4 in a row, which is also very on form for Shodai.
Yes.
As soon as you have, as soon as you have any expectations of the Shodai, he proves to you why you should not have.
He's so narrative driven. It's not about what it's. He could be 4-4 and it could be nothing, right? But instead, he's Shodai. He's got to be just enough to get your hope up, and then just enough to ruin it. And now he's going to go like 7-0, and just to mess with the narrative as much as possible.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I got. As usual, Midori Fuji, Hirodumi are the best things
Fun.
to watch on television. But
Yep.
Awesome
Oh.
Basho so far, I think.
We'll point out Abi 2-6 looking like he's not looking very good. This Basho looking like he could drop out of the Sanyaku ranks.
Yep.
I think I heard he was having some back injuries, some back issues coming into the Basho, so makes sense for him.
I was gonna say either that or he just seems more figured out this time. He's not a very complicated wrestler. Obviously, he's good at what he's doing, but it's still fairly simple.
Yeah.
And I think guys are winning the rock paper scissors against him with the couple things he knows how to do. They're beating him much more than normal. So
Yep. Take a quick peek down into Juryo. As I mentioned before, Takeru Fuji, just an absolute bulldozer. He is sitting at 8-0. Really hoping that he can push that to at least 14-1, if not 15-0. If anybody can go 15-0 for the first time since Tochinoshin did it back in 2014, feels like it'd be Takeru Fuji. But would love to see him get 14-1, 15-0, just to kind of make sure he's promoted up to the top division next Basho. We need Takeru Fuji deserves to be in the top division.
Chio Shoma is also killing it from Juryo 1 East. He's already one more win, and he has secured his re-promotion. So we'll see Chio Shoma again.
Shishi is looking in good position to make it up to the top division. After the first week, he is 5-3. So you got to figure if he can push that up to 9 wins, he's basically a lock to make it up to the top division. And Haku Oho sitting at 5-3. He's had a couple of stumbling blocks in the first week, but he's still looking pretty good. He's still got some tape on one of those shoulders, which is a little worrisome, but he's looking good. He just has kind of like we were talking about with Onosato, not immediately beating Mitaki Yumi because Mitaki Yumi's so big. That's kind of what I've noticed with Hakuoho. Like his losses are to gigantic Shiden, gigantic Tsurugisho, gigantic Mitoryu. The guys that he just can't
like the
overpower.
biggest guys in the whole thing. Yeah.
So it makes sense that he's losing to those guys. But yeah, if he can push it to 5-2 in the second week, get to 10-5, he's got a realistic shot at promotion back into the top division as well. And we could finally have Atami Fuji, Haku Oho, Takeru Fuji, and Onosato all in the top division at the same time. They won't all face each other, especially because 3 of them are in the same Heya, but
that is important. Yeah. One quick note on the lower divisions, leading the way for the Makushita Yusho, Chiyomaru sitting at 4-0.
Hey,
There's other 4-0s, but he is at Makushita 3 West, so he could very well make his way back up into the second division. It'd be cool to see him
Taking
one more time in the top division.
A look
before
at
he
the
goes.
Makushita standings. Chiyomaru Makushita Yusho is our one chance this basho to get the GSB belt up into Juryo.
Ooh, okay. There you go.
So we know who to cheer for.
We know who to
All right.
cheer for. But yeah, he's 33 and he's been slowly declining. I would love to see him in the top division just one more time.
yeah.
It's a big ask.
is.
With that, we will take a quick break and we will come back with an update on the GSB belt. Plus, I've got a little something fun planned.
Oh dear.
If you enjoy the Grand Sumo Breakdown podcast, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast listening service.
You can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for Grand Sumo Breakdown.
Support the show on Patreon and check out our blog, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com.
If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, drop us a line at grandsumobreakdown@gmail.com or give us a call at 805-613-7866. That's 805-613-SUMO.
Also, watch us on YouTube. All right, we are back. Let's take a look at the aforementioned GSB belt. The belt holder coming into this basho was 3-time champion Inami, who had won the belt at Sandanme 55 and was elevated up to Makushita 32 between the basho. So
Yeah.
we are back in Makushita. Hopefully, we're not going to go back down into Sandanme like we did last basho.
Inami, by the way, he has now held the belt in 4 different divisions.
Attaboy, Inami.
He's had the belt 3 times, but yeah, Jonakuchi, Jonidan, Sandanme, and Makushita, Inami has had the belt while in that division.
Yep. And Inami defended it his first 2 matches, defeating Toki Tenron and Tochi Kodai. But then in his third matchup, he lost to Hama Yutaka. And then in Hama Yutaka's next matchup, he lost to Kyoku Kayu. And so this is Kyoku Kayu's second reign with the belt. He brought it up from Sandanme to Makushita the first time it came up to Makushita. And he held the belt for 5 matches last time. So Kyoku Kayu could be looking for another extended run with the GSB winner's belt. Moving over to the loser's belt, we might have the most straightforward loser's belt basho to follow so far. It started off
no Kyujos or anything.
It started off with Meisei, who had lost on day 15 of the previous basho to Gonoyama, and then Meisei dropped from Maegashira 1 East to Maegashira 6 East. But then on day 1, it was a rematch between Meisei and Gonoyama, and this time Gonoyama lost to Meisei, so the belt dropped a half rank to Maegashira 6 West to Gonoyama.
That was Meisei's only win. He could have held on to it the whole time. If he
I know, it would have
been
been so nice if he could have held on to it. And then Gonoyama lost to Chura no Umi on day 2, dropping it down to Makushita 7 West. And then, oh no, Chura no Umi lost to Meisei on day 3, and the belt has remained with Meisei ever since, sitting at Maegashira 6 East. Meisei,
I want a loser's end show.
He's too low ranked to be fighting any of the Sanyaku Rikishi. His record certainly isn't going to get him up to fight any Sanyaku Rikishi. He's just going to keep fighting Rikishi with bad records. So we should be at the point where the belt is just going to hop between people with worse and worse records and just suck us down to the bottom of the Maegashira ranks by the end of the basho. So I think we're finally kind of out of like a Sanyaku vortex for the loser's belt, and we should finally start to see it consistently dropping down the ranks.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I think we hit like a critical point where it's just going to plummet, because it took us 3 basho to get down to Maegashira 1.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about our chump standings, where I'm holding a slim lead over the absent Mac. Oh, also Mac's not here. We didn't mention that.
This is the first time we mentioned that, isn't it?
Yeah, Mac. It's because you interrupted me at the top of the episode.
We messed with the intro too. So yeah, somebody listening could be like, yeah, why isn't Mac talking very much?
Mac's at a wedding up in Wisconsin. So
sorry, Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mac, his team of Wakataka Kage and Takeda Fuji got him 10 points, 1 point behind my team of Onosato, and a fully formed Oho. So he's really holding me back. Onosato's bringing in the bulk of my points. But then we have in last, if he ain't first, you're last. That is the theory of Ricky Flerick Bobby. He is sitting in last place with his champ of Shirokuma, who's brought in a total of 2 wins for him so far.
Nishiki Fuji, not a bad chump, but yeah, Shirokuma with 2 wins is a rough spot to be.
Flerick, for no reason in particular, because it looks like I might win and you might lose. How's your singing voice?
Oh, fuck. No. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Oh, dear.
But no, I was very sad when they matched up and my chump actually beat my champ. That was I was afraid there was gonna be some archaic rule from the beginning that's minus like 100 points. So I'm okay with being 2 points off from Jake.
I think we talked about something like that. But then we're just like, we don't want to make it too overly complicated and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
our old fantasy system was way too complicated. So in a way that just made us lose track. But if you got one guy to cheer for and one guy to cheer against, that makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nishiki Fuji only has 3 wins, and one of them is over your champ. That's really funny.
All right, let's move on to, like I said, I promised I had something fun. So in our Discord channel, a couple of days before the basho, one of our patrons in there, Shift Reset, said he had an idea about a month ago, but he's busy with PhD stuff. So go get it, Shift Reset, get that PhD. But basically,
you know who does have spare time though?
Hey, basically what he did was he wrote a parody to the song Push It to the Limit from Scarface, just kind of like a classic 80s montage song. And he wrote the lyrics to that and wrote the full song. And I'm like, you know what? It'd be a hell of a shame if he put all that effort in and wasn't able to share it just beyond this the patron Discord and reading the words of it. And so I decided to do it some justice, and I provided my ever talented vocal stylings to bring this song to life. And so what the song is about, it's a song for Taka Keisho. This was pre-basho and basically talking about what he would need to do in order to get his 10 wins. And it is called Henka to the Limit.
We're going to listen to the entire song right here, aren't we?
Yeah, obviously.
It's just the guitar intro.
Take it to the limit. Dance along the doyo's edge. Your eyes say left, but hips go right. You gotta sell it. Make it out to day 8. No time for that hinkaku. Reach the top, but now you gotta fight hard to keep it. Take your neck and throw in the salt. Driving out demons with your strong Shinko stomps. Fists touch the sand. Touch the sand. Thrusting at the chest of your foe. Wave action to party, there's nothing that's strong. So close now, you're nearly at the bell. So push them over. Take it to the limit. You may never get that rope, but in this basho you can show that you still have it. Kirishima did it. Well, you know that is no excuse. I want my right back if it's acts of Kensho, so I say fuck it. Take it to the limit. Day 15, it's do or die. Get your 10 or say goodbye, cause you'll be tied. Take it to the limit. Shoma did it. Take him to the limit.
I hope you're happy.
I am.
Ain't no time for that Hinkaku. Kirishima did it. I love it.
Yeah, so this just goes to show that, like, if you give me sumo lyrics to a song, that night I will record a version of it.
It's like Ron Burgundy.
That was literally my Friday night, and I had a blast.
It was a perfect length of time for me to go file our monthly business paperwork, so I just did that on my other screen while we were going there.
All right.
I feel like a new man, a man who has more regrets about his time.
Let's move on into our lightning round. Jake, who has impressed you the most so far?
Onosato is the easy answer, so I will go with that one.
Yep. Flerick, what about you?
Onosato is the easy answer. So I will throw in Endo. He's looking good again. So I've been enjoying that.
Yeah, obviously Onosato, but I'm going to say Kirishima versus expectations. Was not expecting to see him in possibly Yusho winning form.
We expected Onosato to be in the running, but Kirishima's a surprise.
Yeah. Flerick, who's disappointed you the most?
My white polar bear Shirokuma. Poor guy.
Yeah, I similar to that Onokatsu 3 and 5 coming out of Juryo. I expected a little bit better out of him, so 3 and 5 start. Bit disappointing.
Atami Fuji for me. He is wrestling much better than a 3 and 5 record, but he just cannot get the wins themselves.
Beat Hoshoryu for the 3rd consecutive basho. And
Yeah.
we should also mention for Hoshoryu, who is also a disappointment so far this basho.
Yeah.
Lost on his 4th consecutive day 1 to a 2 and 6 Takanosho.
Yep.
All right, favorite match of the basho so far. I've got to go with that Oho Kotozakura match. That one was very good, back and forth, and like I said, Oho just showed a fire that we've really never seen from him.
For me, it is. I was also going to toss that one out, but I'll say Hirodoumi versus Abi on day 3 was another one where there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of near falls, and Hirodoumi takes it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with the Tobizaru Kotozakura match. It was kind of a weird ending, which kind of killed it a bit, but like it was a good match the entire time.
Yep.
And it was a dramatic end. It would be great if it was a toward now Oshi and they had to redo it at the end, but what can you do? It's still good. I enjoyed it.
Jake, what matchup are you most looking forward to in week 2?
Yusho race stuff. So Onosato, Kirishima, Kotozakura, those 3 in particular, probably, but like specifically, I guess also Onosato versus Hoshoryu to see if he can not get thrown on his butt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any non-Onosato related matches that I'm super looking forward to. So yeah, Onosato, as Mac would say, et al.
Yeah. I would echo the Hoshoryu versus Onosato. I would love to see that one.
Can I toss in a bonus lightning round question?
Sure.
Not really a question. How about a thing that we should have talked about that we didn't really?
Ooh.
But minor exciting moment. How about that match where Hoshoryu didn't bow, so they made him come back?
Oh, that was the one against Oho, right?
I think so. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, when Oho dumped him on his butt. Yeah, and then he just stood up, walked away, and then embarrassingly called out in front of everybody to come back.
Yeah. He looked very frustrated after the match because like he was like quickly just like thrown down and his hand touched the dohyo. I think that was less of a F you Oho thing and just more like, God damn it, Hoshoryu.
I think so.
I think it was more just like, oh crap, I was so mad in the moment I forgot than like an intentional snub. But yeah, and then I don't think they liked his first bow, and then they like made him do like a second bow after he had come in.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I don't think it was personal against Oho. I think it was Hoshoryu being mad at Hoshoryu and not being respectful because of it.
Although it could be against Oho, he has a 2-5 record, like you said.
That's true.
So it might have been personal.
Like, this guy, I cannot beat him. What is going on?
Yeah, they have a matchup.
It's
going
just
all the way back.
Oho.
They have a matchup going all the way back to Meizumo, so I can
Mhm.
definitely see them taking a little bit extra personally.
Yeah, those two debuted at the same time, so they're definitely linked, and it'll be fun if Oho can stick around in the Sanyaku ranks so we get that matchup every basho.
Well, Oho would be fun for if he starts.
If
doing
he
well,
keeps
right?
fighting like this, hey, I can admit to being wrong, and if he keeps fighting like this, Oho's going to be a fun Rikshi to watch. So
Our lightning round has run out of lightning.
that's your
What
fault.
do we-
You're the one who extended it.
Yeah.
I was just talking about the bow, and now you guys are talking about Oho.
All right, Flarik, who is going to win it, and how many wins will they have?
Onosato 13-2.
Same for
Yeah.
me. That's where I was going to guess.
I really want it to be like 14-1, but realistically, it'll be like 13-2. But yeah, I think we've all got Onosato here. All right, that is going to wrap up our midway episode for the Aki Basho. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Until next time, throw your salt high and keep moving forward.